It's some 36 minutes after 7 here on the AM show. And you know, when we start every new year, we say, oh, a new page has been opened. It's a new chapter. We're starting everything afresh. We thought we would, you know, give that same kind of special attention to our health as well. And on day 2 in the year 2018, we want to do, you know, check our health and see how it's going and what we have to work on, things like that. And one of the conversations that every person must have is one on cardiovascular, the risks there, and very much so if you have time. It's not even if you have time, you must have your screening. So we're going to set the tone off here on the show this morning with my guests, and we're going to get practical as well. I'm going to use myself. I beg you, don't judge me. Even if you do, I don't care. So let's get it going. Dr. Hadi Mohammed Abdullah is a specialist surgeon at the Kolebu Teaching Hospital, and I also have Kasim Abdullah, who is a dietitian, and they're going to take us through. So good morning to you, gentlemen.
Good morning.
Yeah.
And Happy New Year.
Yeah, Happy New Year to you. We're leaving 2017 behind, and we're facing 2018. So we want to pretend like nothing has happened in the past. Even with our health, if we're talking health check, how should we begin that conversation with ourselves, Dr. Hadi?
All right. I think everybody needs to at least come out with some few resolutions at the end of the year. And as part of your resolutions towards the end of the year and get into the new year, you should at least also assess your health, what you think you might have done to your body. Some people, I put it in quote, might have insulted their body, embarrassed their body. They've not treated it even as a biological system. Okay, some even treat their bodies like they are machines. And you should look back from the 1st January 2017 to 31st 2017. You should sit down, I mean, and reflect. Have I treated my body very well? You know, and coupled with that, you should look at even other years, what you might have done to it. So for some people, it is an accumulation. Some might have tried to reverse the wrongs that they might have imposed on their bodies, but at least you should look at 2017 and talk to yourself whether you really manage your body very well. And this includes the food you eat, what you drink. Drink includes fizzy drinks, alcohol, even water. How much water did you take? You know, and we all know that our body composition is made up of a lot of water. Every cell has over 70% of it made up of water. So if you are not taking enough water, you should look at. Some have also decided that maybe their party is in power, and so all is good. So they've been enjoying since the end of the last election. They entered into 2017 with it. Now they have good enough. They invested so much in their anterior abdominal fats. They look very round. And oh, why you are looking very good. So I think everybody, including kids, should keep thinking, because university affects a lot of children now. So that is what I think we should begin the year with.
Okay. Kasim, what would you say?
Well, Dr. Hadi has said it all. I think it is important we prioritize our health. Without health, you can't do anything. In fact, if we were not healthy, we wouldn't be here talking. And it is with health that you can be productive. So with New Year, it is very important for everyone to review their lifestyle, especially as far as diet is concerned and what we take into our system. It is important we look at that and be able to tell which ones were not good for us and which ones were good for us, or at least it is important for you to be able to do some checkup, because usually ourselves cannot tell whether what we're doing is good or, bad. But when you go to the professional, a medical doctor, you get to the hospital, they're able to help you, they screen you, and through that you're able to tell maybe where you're going wrong.
But some of the figures that you give us, is it not just to scare us, to get us to wake up and exercise or something like that?
Not at all, not at all. And so that's one thing about these non-communicable diseases. They are usually silent. So if the things are happening internally, and you will know when it announces its presence, then it's a serious issue. So all the parameters, what we saw, what we found, what we talked to you about, they are real. And if you are told you need to do something about it, then hey, it is important you really do something about it.
Okay.
It is a new year, it is 2018. We have to begin it afresh with good health.
Sure. So Dr. Hadi, you've been encouraging cardiovascular risk screening. Why is that so important?
Yeah, for us at the Islamic Medical Association of Ghana, it's made up of various group of health professionals, and ranges from those who just completed medical school to senior consultants who have been in practice for so many years. And based on our experiences from our dietitians and what they have seen at the various clinics, we realized that a lot of our young people, of course also from established research work which has been done by various Ghanaians, very young people are beginning to die from cardiovascular diseases, which hitherto we had believed that it was something which affected only the older population, because people begin to, if you attend medical school, they will tell you that, oh, when somebody reach 40 years, that is when you should start doing ECG when they come to clinic, because that's when you start screening. But I've had friends who had their first heart attack at the age of 35 years, you know. Some you might know, I don't want to scare anybody, but we've had very, very young people who have died, some CEOs, you know, and they belong to certain jobs that sometimes people even feel like these guys don't really work. All right. If you take, for example, in your case, you are just on TV maybe this morning, so everybody assumes at home, oh, Mama, I like Mama V's work. She comes to work at maybe 7 o'clock, by 9 she's out. Because with the time the program ends, that's what everybody assumes. And the same as doctors, we also face the same thing. You appear at your clinic at 9 o'clock, and everybody assumes that, oh, you just come to work at 9 and by 2 you are gone. Nobody knows that you come very early to discuss the previous day cases and how you are going to approach the rest of the day, and sometimes you leave at midnight. And I know it happens also in the media. In the banking sector, everybody knows that banks close at 2 p.m., but we know some banks close as late as 8 p.m. because you have to reconcile. So this is not within the public domain, and people don't understand these things. And these are the group of people who are at high risk, because you virtually don't do a lot of movement during the day. And so you end up taking a lot of fizzy drinks just to keep pace. I mean, get some level of energy just to work.
True.
So you have a lot of young doctors, a lot of young journalists, including TV hosts, morning show hosts, like, who tend to take in a lot of drinks just to keep them energized, but not very good drinks. We party once a while, sometimes weekends, we go and party. So at the end of it, you realize that the younger ones are putting a lot of fats in front of, in the anterior abdominal wall, which predisposes them to what we call the metabolic syndrome, which has a high risk for hypertension and diabetes. And we always say that hypertension and diabetes are cousins. The moment you get hypertension, you eventually will end up with hypertension. And the risks for cardiovascular events, such as I will use heart attack.
Okay,
heart attack, it could lead to strokes. Okay, and a stroke is not just within the brain. Stroke is a form of a vascular catastrophe. So anywhere you have vessel can occur. We've had people who have had stroke even involving their abdomen, where the blood supply to the whole intestines eventually is cut off and they lose a large chunk of intestines. So the disease is systemic. And don't think that it is only your 50-year-old or your 60-year-old or 70-year-old man or woman who is at risk. Now, very young people are getting these diseases, and it shouldn't happen.
Yeah.
What it means is that we are not training, we are eating badly. And it is my hope and prayer that in 2018 we'll take these issues very seriously.
Okay, sure. So Kassim, you're familiar with what we eat.
Yes.
What is so bad about what we eat?
Yes. There has been a transition in our dietary pattern due to invasion of highly processed food products and globalization and urbanization. So now everyone wants to get something that is ready, prepared, the easygoing. And those are food that are high in fat and sugars, free sugars. Any sugar that is added to any food product, we refer to that as free sugar. And these foods are also greasy, oily, and they have the cholesterol and the saturated and fatty acids. So that is the problem now. We used to battle with the infectious diseases in Africa and Ghana particularly. But over the years, because of infiltration of foreign food and the urbanization drive, so we are now also adapting those junk foods, which are really not healthy for us. So if we were to go back and revisit the way we used to prepare our food, the food could be the same, but how you prepare it, how you process it, that is make it either healthy or not healthy. And our cooking options, they are very, very important. For instance, if you have foods that you can boil, that you can, grill, why fry? So we have a lot of fries, and all this adds some oils to us. And you're asking, why is it important for these cardiovascular conditions? Cardiovascular, non-communicable diseases tops the 10 killers, the killers, 10 killer diseases that we have in the world today, the non-communicable disease. And the reason is because they are silent. You will not know. You have BP, you will not know. You have high cholesterol levels, you will not know. When you know, it's too late. So those are the reasons. And it is basically through the way we eat. And we are more sedentary. We hardly exercise. And sometimes people use the excuse of work. I'm busy at work, I don't get time. It is important. I say your health is more important than anything that you do.
So what if you walk in your day-to-day work, you walk a lot, or you stand a lot? Isn't that a form of exercise?
It is. It is a form of exercise, but how you do it. Exercise is something that should make your blood race. You should feel that you are exercising. Something that will make you sweat. So if you're walking or you're standing, you don't sweat, that's not an exercise. And again, if you do something for a protracted period of time, the body accepts it and it becomes something normal, and you need to progress. So even when you go to the gym, you do a particular level of exercise, it gets to a point you need to upgrade because the body adjusts and it accepts it as something normal. So walking, especially brisk walking, is a form of exercise, and how you do it. And you can even break it if you feel you are busy. Maybe anytime, 10 minutes, maybe early in the morning before you come to work. During the day, if you have any free time during your break, you can go and take some walk, and then in the evening you can do some walking. The recommended number of minutes that you should exercise is about 30 minutes. That's by WHO.
Every day?
Every day, possibly, or at least 5 times a week. So you need at least 1 hour, 30 minutes of exercise within a week.
Okay.
Yes.
I'll come back to this subject because I also want to ask, if you're doing it only on weekends, won't that make any impact? But I want to come to you, Dr. Hadi. So what should we do? How do we begin this screening? What should we be checking?
All right. So I think everybody, as much as possible, should try and get scale.
Okay.
In their house, or it could be in their bathroom or in front of just the entrance to their homes. And as much as possible, you should keep track of your weight.
Okay.
I mean, you should be able to say, draw a chart how you are progressing. Also, if you can, I mean, measure your height. Your height will not change if you reach, for most adults, I mean, our height is not going to change. After 18 years, you are unlikely to add anything to your height. So usually your height then becomes constant. It's just the weight. And you can always calculate what you call your BMI, which is your body mass index, and it tell you how much or how far you've progressed or you've reduced, because it is not only the weight which is important, but your weight must be in relation to your height. The body mass index is calculated as your weight divided by your height squared. So for those who are at home and have pen, you measure your weight in kilograms and then your height in meters. And like I said, your height is constant. So say your height is 70 kilograms and sorry, your weight is 70 kilograms and your height is say 1.5 meters. So it will be the 70 divided by 1.5 times 1.5. But there are even applications now available where you can just input these figures and you get your body mass index. The normal one is between 20 to 25.
Okay.
Some put it at 18 to 25. Now, anything below 18 means you are underweight. So there's and there are a lot of.
I say you're not too big.
Not yeah. It's also it's also a problem. Underweight is a problem. Overweight is also a problem, and we find this mainly in the models, or those who want to catwalk because they want to keep up appearances. So you should also be mindful of it, because in urbanized society, people would then start, oh, you are doing really well, you've managed to reduce your, and the weight reduction also must be like gradual. It shouldn't be just drastic, because you give yourself, oh, within 1 week I want to, say you are 100 kilos, and then so within 1 week I want to lose 20 kilos, or by the end of, you even set the goals for yourself, it must be gradual. Now, if you go beyond 25, then we say you are overweight. Okay, and that goes up to 30. From 30 and above, that is obesity. Okay, so between 30 to 35, that gives you obesity.
Oh, okay. So if you're slightly above, and that's what I'm talking about my own matter, if you're slightly above the 25, you're not.
You are overweight, but that's the lower limit of overweight. Okay, and for that one, you need to exercise and then maybe check your diet. Okay, but for those who are obese, they need to see the dietitian. Even now, it's advocated that even for those within 27, 29, should still see the dietitians to advise them, because if they get the wrong advice, they may even end up going beyond 30. So from 35, we call it morbid obesity, and we all know what morbid is. That's a disease. So if your BMI is more than 35, it means you are sick. That's what it means. Okay. And I'm sure we have this image of Makola women that we always use, not show any disrespect to them, but it has become like the symbol where we call Mami Glamour or Mami Makola, where the typical one, or Mami Agbubulish, where they are huge, and majority of them you find that they are more than 35. So it became like a symbol that we use. For those people, they have the metabolic syndrome. So majority of them, would have, and they live sedentary lives. So they sit at one place from morning to evening. They don't do any form of exercise. Those are the people who usually would die sudden death. A majority of them would, oh, me the hospital, no crime, you call order. I don't usually get sick. And you hear that a lot.
But they're dying slowly inside.
They are dying slowly because these are silent diseases. And like he said, until they reach their peak, where they begin to cause some organ damage. Okay. And you all know, for example, the kidney. You can live on just one kidney. But if you begin to show, or they do your renal function test and begins to show that, oh, there is some disorder, what it means is that the disease has been there for a long time and has progressed and has actually caused some damage to both kidneys. Okay, and we see this mainly in hypertensive and diabetics. Okay, I would also want to, even though we mentioned that, I want to emphasize on what we take. Now I see a lot of adverts about herbs. Okay, look, I'm not here to destroy anybody's job, but we see it in the hospital. If you have hypertension, okay, essential hypertension, essential diabetes, they are not curable. You can't cure diabetes. You can't cure asthma. So don't be deceived that, oh, I had hypertension and now it's been cured. I had asthma and because the levels are down, so I'm cured. Now I'm speaking to those who also have the disease. If your doctor tells you that you have this communicable, especially hypertension, diabetes, please, if you take the medication and you begin to get normal range of figures, don't assume that you have been cured. It's because you are taking the medication.
Okay.
Okay. And most of the people who come on air and make claims about their ability to cure these diseases, they come to us in Kolebu when they are sick. They come to us. Don't let any pastor deceive you. You see, we can believe in God. We can,
and we all do.
Yeah, and we continue to believe in God. Okay, I know Ghana is a very religious society, as all African
The churches
countries
were very busy on the 31st night.
Yes, yes, and I know some people run from work to go to church as well on that same day. But let's put that one. Don't, and I'm re-emphasizing, don't believe anyone. If the person tells you that he or she can cure you of your hypertension, there are certain hypertensions which are caused by tumors. When you remove the tumor,
you're fine.
You are fine. But if you attend hospital until that diagnosis is made that your hypertension or your diabetes is being caused by a tumor, necessitating the removal of the tumor, don't ever allow anybody to deceive you.
Okay.
Don't ever. And I think that is also the problem. Taking of herbs has nothing to do with our level of education. It is the human psyche. Because we want everything easy. We have this belief that orthodox medicine always have complications, and people have written a lot. If you go on the internet, it's not everything that you read even in Wikipedia, which is scientific fact. They are not. There are certain things that you hear people say, oh, you even claims. There are scientific journals or sites that you can go in there to check some of these things. This year, please, don't just Google. Because people might be writing on topics based on their interest. In science, you must have disclosures. Whether you have any interest in even the disease or the type of treatment that you are professing to be good.
So that we know whether you're coming from a biased point or not.
And in science, for scientific journals, this will be checked. But you hear a lot of people, there are people even saying that you should eat a lot of fat. I mean, I've seen videos on YouTube, and they make a lot of claims and taking money from people that they have like certain preparations. And I think going to 2018, now the technology is with us. So these are also issues that we need to.
Sure.
Not everything that you see on the internet or you hear in the media, there is always an interest. Even when you hear a journalist telling you that something is good, please check. Yeah, I mean, look, money.
Okay, so what's my interest this morning?
Oh, your interest is good.
Okay,
Yeah.
so you mentioned that number one, you must get a scale.
Yes.
Measure your height, body mass index.
Yes.
And then this year, don't just Google. Don't just Google. But what we have is not just a scale, is it?
Yes.
What we have in the studio. Because I said I was going to give myself up and go through this process again. Yeah.
So
I haven't started the exercise, by the way. So
Okay, so let me
nothing is going to change.
Let me just finish it up.
Yeah.
So for those who are 35 and above, at least try and see a doctor for medical screening
Okay.
this year. So they should. These ones can be checked as well at the hospital. You should check your cholesterol level. At least you should know. You should know your blood sugar level, and you should know your blood pressure. Blood pressure, as we've come to understand, has nothing to do with your age. There are 20-year-olds, 25-year-olds, 30-year-olds who have it. There are some who are actually at the point of death. They don't even know, and we only pick them up during medical screening. I was once in Winnipeg. I was there for 3 years, and I used to screen the university. We lost a student on the day I screened him.
Wow.
I told him, you need to go to Kolegu. I wrote a referral. And on hindsight, I feel maybe the way I went about it, because I told him we need an ambulance. And this is a guy who has been fine. I mean, just walked to the clinic, but I picked something from his heartbeat. Just his pulse, can tell you that there's something wrong. And you've had footballers who have died on the pitch. These are people who even went through medical screening.
Yeah.
And for those who get the opportunity to go through medical screening for a job placement and want doctors to sign, and also the doctors who keep signing them
Without going through
without
the
going
checks.
through it,
Yeah.
you are doing them a lot of harm. If you get that opportunity, take it. Take it and go through all the screening, because you may not get that opportunity again. As we've come to know, people don't take their health
But
seriously.
don't the companies sometimes ask you to do, for instance, we've had HIV tests and pregnancy tests so they can see that you're not pregnant before they employ you, things like that?
Yeah, I mean, the pregnancy one, I think sometimes far-fetched to make sure you are not employed, and HIVs. But those ones, like I said, it has to do with their interest. But I think that for you, even if you are giving just HIV, hepatitis to
Take
you,
it.
you should try as much as possible to even ask the doctor to include your blood sugar. You want to know your blood sugar level. You want to know whether you are hypertensive. You want to know whether your chest is free. We are exposed to all pathogens nowadays. Allergy, you don't know even how your chest is doing. You don't know whether you are exposed to tuberculosis. Ghana still has a lot of tuberculosis cases. But these two basic ones, your sugar and your blood pressure, you must know.
Okay.
Because if you have HIV, it will eventually show. If you have what do you call it? Tuberculosis. You start coughing, you may get treatment. But the problem with hypertension and diabetes, they can kill you. You can get a sudden death from it. And everybody, oh, he was fine.
Yeah.
Or the first time you get a sign that you have hypertension will be headache. Very bad headache. They will report in neurosurgery, we see they call it subarachnoid hemorrhage, which is like a thunder clap. Very severe headache. And if that is not picked early and you go to, say, a private hospital, which is unable to pick it, you may end up dying. So he just had one And that is what usually people will say, oh, just one sharp headache, you complain of headache,
and then the next minute it was gone.
It was gone.
Yeah.
But you've been harboring hypertension for all these years.
Yeah. Customer asks that you are familiar with what we eat. I want you to think about it, the regular foods that we eat in the morning. I'm sitting here, is 6 minutes after 8.
Okay.
I haven't eaten, but I've drank water.
Okay.
So I want you to think about the daily things that we eat as individuals, as people in Ghana.
Okay.
So we eat either the cocoa. You see a lot of people eat wache when they're at work. Some will go for kinky if they don't want to do lunch. So think about the regular things that we eat. I'll come back and ask if after I've gone through the process, because we want to see, is this something that you would encourage, that can you have something like this at home, or this is too complicated?
Well, you can still have it at home.
Okay.
If
so how's this one called?
If BIA machine, bioimpedance analyzer.
Okay.
Yes, so it analyzes the body and gives you the percentage body fat, percentage visceral fat, muscle mass, I mean how much muscle you have in your system. It tells you how much calorie, I mean per your weight, you need, and it tells you your metabolic age.
Okay.
Yes.
Some people will argue that they are saying all these things, check whatever. I've been living for like forever and nothing has happened to me.
So
okay. All right. So those are the people who really have very low interests in their health. You know, the fact that you've never had headache before doesn't mean that your sugar level is good. The fact that you don't get up at night to pee doesn't mean that you don't have diabetes. Okay, you need to check it.
Yeah.
You need to always check it. If you've never had headache before, doesn't mean that you don't have, say, hypertension, because like we've all come to know, these are silent diseases. There are periods that your blood pressure may be normal. And now, with the American Heart Society, they've come to realize that even blood pressures that we thought were normal blood pressures, they're beginning to realize that, in fact, some of the people who died from the complications of hypertension were people who were medically screened and were told that their blood pressure was normal. So in the past, and I'm sure for most of you who have the BP apparatus machines at home, you realize that they tell you between 120 to 130.
Let me
it's
check
like it's the high normal. But for current trends, and this is very recent, they're now saying that if your blood pressure, a young person, your blood pressure is above 120, from 120 going to the one, it means you have risks of hypertension, and you should start regular checkup.
Okay.
In the past, we say 120 is normal. So usually when they ask, every medical student will tell you, right, 128. And that is the benefit of belonging to a scientific society where we are always evaluating ourselves. And sometimes people don't like it. They would, oh, scientists, they'll say, today alcohol is good, tomorrow alcohol is not good.
Today coffee is not good, today coffee is good.
It's because we
Egg
go
is
back.
Good, it's not good.
Yeah.
You know, when people die, I mean, when we lose patients, we go back and check. Could we have done something else? Because for the young man who comes in and suddenly might have burst a blood vessel in the brain from, say, hypertension, had a massive stroke. Yeah. You realize that this person was checked at a point in time and the blood pressure was, say, 125, say 70, and was told, oh, this is fine. I mean, for your age, this is fine. But we're beginning to take this issue serious. And it's only the professionals who can advise you.
Okay.
Don't check your blood pressure from those who are walking around in the market with sphinx. They don't even understand. And one dangerous aspect of our blood pressure is the lower figure, called the diastolic blood pressure. We have the systolic and then the diastolic. So you go, they check your blood pressure is 120. And I've asked quite a number of them. I mean, it wasn't, I wouldn't say it is a tight study, but this is just a survey I did in Accra by just asking them randomly that if my blood pressure is 120, what did I say, 125, 100, does it mean I'm okay? So we are okay. 125, no, no. Meanwhile, the 100 is what will kill you.
Oh, okay.
It's the 100 which will kill you, because anything above 90 for your diastolic pressure is very high, and you need to see a doctor.
Okay.
These guys cannot advise you, so always try as much as possible to go to the professionals.
Okay. All right. So how do Kasim, how do we begin the process?
Okay. So I hope you have your height. You can still remember your height.
Oh,
Your height.
yeah.
Yes,
159 centimeters.
Okay, so that's fine.
Is that a pageantry height? So please, not too late for me.
Oh, no, it's not.
Okay, so
Maybe I'll be the judge. Okay, so.
Okay, so what did I say? 159.
Yeah, so
159.
1.59. Right?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. So you wait.
Okay.
Yes. I'll need to input your height and your age.
Do I
Yes.
want everybody to know how old I am?
Oh, no, you can. At least you mention your age.
Okay, yeah, we'll do that. I hope the microphones don't pick.
Okay. So you could just scroll this one to get your age.
Oh, this is hard.
Yes, it is hard.
Okay, no, not so hard.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, so that's fine. So we set it. Now this one will ask you whether you're a female or a male. We need to set that one as
So
well.
I'm female.
Okay, so that's fine. So confirmed. Now the height.
159.
159. So we have that. Then we set it. Okay. So you are now good to go.
Oh my God.
Yes. Do you know how to ride a motorbike?
No.
So it's similar to that. Just hold it firmly and stretch your arms 90 degrees. Yes, a bit high. It's okay.
Yeah.
Good.
Is that it?
Yeah, it's reading. A few seconds more, we'll get there.
You know what I am most afraid of
You don't
is
have
the
to
metabolic age.
You don't have good. So we are fine. So this one is your weight.
Okay.
Okay. So if you want to get your BMI, you press this, and your BMI is displayed.
25.3.
So
BMI is which one?
Body mass index. The one he explained that you
Oh, so I've gone down a bit.
gone down.
Yay! I am still overweight.
Oh, no, but...
So
0.3 overweight.
Your weight, exactly. It depends highly on your weight, because Dr. Hadi made it clear that at this point, your height wouldn't vary. So it is the weight. And usually when you drink a lot of water, at that point, your weight is likely to go up.
Okay.
So that's what affects it. But water will not increase your weight. Just that when you take it, you will easily lose it through sweat. And yes. So the next one is your body fats.
Okay.
Now, let me come back to the BMI. You see where it's blinking? Now we have this one minus, then this not, plus, and plus plus. So when it blinks at the plus, it means overweight. When it blinks at the plus plus, then obesity, like Dr. Hadi elaborated. So now you know where your BMI is.
Okay.
Good.
Yes.
She's not doing badly.
It's not bad. Yes.
Can people see, because we're talking about certain
Yes.
figures, and I hope that you'll be able to see what we are looking at.
So with this,
Yeah.
so
I'm not doing bad.
Oh, you
yeah.
well.
So this is your BMI.
Okay.
Yes, and you are just, at that point where you can easily revert to normal.
I was going to say it's fine. You can say I'm
It's not
0.3 overweight.
It's not bad. It's not bad, but you can improve.
Okay.
Yes. So then we have your body fat.
Okay.
You see where it blinks.
Oh my God, that's
Yes.
bad, right?
That's bad.
Okay, don't worry.
Okay.
I said today people can judge me, so let's show it.
So that's a bit high. Then, 2 pluses.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
So 2 pluses. Yeah.
So that is not supposed to be there.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
And then we have your muscle mass. So, and that is normal.
Okay.
You see where it blinks?
Okay.
That's normal.
That's 33.3.
Yes.
Okay.
So, then we have the visceral fat is 9.
What is visceral fat?
Visceral fat is the fat around your abdomen.
Oh my God,
yes.
that is.
Oh, but that's.
Yeah, so this is normal. The normal range is between 0 and 9. So you actually.
And I am 9. So
Yes.
I'm at the limit.
You are the limit.
Oh my God.
You are the limit. So with little effort, you descend down. You come back. You know. Then we have what will excite you the most. The metabolic age.
Oh!
It has reduced.
Oh,
It has
yes.
reduced. It has reduced.
But I can't tell people because I didn't.
Tell them.
But
your
I
age.
can.
You can.
Let's
If,
show.
at least if you tell them
Yeah.
where you were and where you are now.
Yeah. It used to be bad. So it says I'm 35.
Okay, so now you have to share your experiences with them. What you've done for the past.
Exactly.
For
So
the past 2 days, I did the first check on Saturday.
Yes.
That's when you did the general screening. Well, I eat late because, you know, sometimes you get really hungry late.
okay.
Yeah.
So,
And I told myself that even if I'm really, really, really hungry,
Yeah.
I won't eat.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I think we'll talk about that. Then it also gives you your daily caloric requirement, or how much energy you burn in a day.
Okay.
Yes. So this is actually what we based on. If we really want to work on your diet, make sure that your weight comes down.
Okay.
We based on this. We know where, I mean, at this point, what we require, how much of it should we reduce to make sure that you gradually reduce weight.
Okay.
Yes, so this is important. So this machine, it's a bit, you know, complicated for individuals to get it at home, but you can just get the simple machine, you know, the weighing scale, and then you know how to check your height.
Okay.
Then you could compute the BMI. The advantage of this one, it gives you the body fat and the muscle mass. BMI could be, you know, affected by the muscle mass, especially among those who lift, the weight lifters.
Okay.
Yeah, so you see someone who, you know, whose BMI will be like 30. So the person with that is not bad. When you check and the muscle mass is so high, and you see that the body fat will be low. So that is not as a result of fat accumulation. It's just as a result of buildup of muscle mass,
Okay.
and that is good.
Okay.
So this one will be able to help you to do that. But with just the weight and the height to compute the BMI, unless you ask further questions to determine the physical activity level of that individual, that will be able to help you to know whether this is positive or it is really negative. And
Okay.
if it is negative, something has to be done about it immediately. Because when you take BMI, the body mass index, especially when you are obese, obesity is an underlying cause or factor for this non-communicable diseases, hypertension, diabetes, and dyslipidemia. So it is basically, I mean, accumulation of body fat. Now, when you eat food, there should be a balance. It's just like a weighing scale. So when you eat and you don't use it, the food that we eat is the energy for the body. So when you take cocoa, when you take wache, when you take rice, when you take banku, when you take kenke, eventually it is converted to sugar for the body to use. That's a fuel for the body. So when we talk about diabetes, it doesn't mean that sugar is bad at all. If you don't have sugar in your system, you can't even blink your eyes. And the brain needs constant supply of sugar. So sugar is something that is good. But then when it is too high, then it becomes a problem.
Okay.
So now when you feed the body with a lot of sugar, a lot of food, the body will convert it to sugar and it goes into the blood. So once it is in the blood, the body uses what it needs, especially if your activity level is so low. The rest is converted to glycogen for temporary storage in the liver and in the muscle. And if after some time you are not even using that, it is converted to fat, you know, for perpetual storage. Now you see that you are growing big and the society will hail you, hey, you're looking good, you know, not knowing you are just, you know, calling for trouble for yourself. So that's the thing. So if it is fat, it is really that bad. And whenever fat accumulates, it leads to accumulation of, cholesterol, lipids that we're talking about. And the cholesterol, what it does, you know, basically we have the bad one and we have the good one when we check. The bad one, what it does, it accumulates inside the blood vessel. You know, the blood vessel is like a tube, water hose, for instance. So it accumulates and it forms a plaque. Now that plaque blocks the passage of the blood, and it narrows the passage. Now, the heart is just about a fist. When you make a fist, that's about the size of your heart, your heart. And this organ pumps blood to your head, to your toe. So if there is a little blockage, the heart will have to pump with a bit higher pressure. Now, when there is that blockage there, so the heart continues to pump at high pressure to make sure that it gets the same quantity of blood to pass there at any point in time. Now, if that thing continues to be there, the pressure will continue to be high, and after some time, you develop what we call the blood pressure. So that's how cholesterol. So we call them non-communicable diseases because if you have diabetes, I can't get diabetes from you just by touching you or sharing fluid with you. No, but the conditions themselves, they are highly communicable. Like Dr. Hadi already, mentioned that diabetes and hypertension, they are cousins. All of them, they are family, and they really like one another. So once you get one, it calls the others. Yeah. You see. So now this, plug or the clot there can dislodge, especially when the pressure becomes so high. It can break, and when it breaks, it is carried in the blood to a point where there are the blood capillaries, your brains, your kidneys, so the blood vessels are so tiny, so it gets there and it causes a blockage. So the blood can no longer pass there. And when blood can no longer pass there, then the cells there, if it happens to your brain, the cells there will begin to die. And if that happens to your brain, then you develop what we call the stroke. Okay. It can affect your liver, it can affect your kidneys. So that's how dangerous this cholesterol is. If you have it, if they say you have cholesterol, you better work on it. And physical activity in your diet is very, very important. So like talking about diet is very, very important, such that you don't have to play with it. Some people say, I cannot eat thrice a day. The normal eating timing requires that you eat at least thrice a day, 3 times.
Can you skip one? A day. If you were to skip one, which one can you
we don't really recommend you skipping. If it means the quantity, varying the quantity, and if it is something small at that point, it is important. Because food, when you eat food, it takes about averagely 4 to 5 hours for the body to digest it. So after 4 or 5 hours, you need to get something into the system. If you don't get anything into the system itself will find a way. You know, even our muscle is food for the body. That's why when people are not eating, they grow lean. The body will use its own cells. It first will use the glycogen, which is stored in the liver and the muscles. Once it finishes with that, it goes to the fat, and it uses up that. That is not the preferred source of energy for the body. The preferred source of energy for the body is glucose. And glucose has to be in the system always. Okay. If it is not, the body will do that. And once that happens, if you don't supply it when it needs the glucose, the metabolic system, the metabolism of the body will change such that, other sources of energy will be utilized. And in that process, you might develop these metabolic conditions or disorders.
So, Dr. Hadi, at what point can you inherit some of these things that we're talking about?
Okay, so for hypertension, diabetes can also be familiar. So there are certain genes which have been identified. So if any of your parents or grandparents had any of these diseases, it means that you're at risk. And the more people within the family who have these diseases, the higher your chances. If you are a twin, and say you are an identical twin, and one of you has diabetes or hypertension, there's greater than 50% chance that you get it. And then if you are fraternal twins, you still have a higher chance, but it's lower. Okay. So there's a strong association with people that you share the same gene with. And for those who have those genes, they tend to get the disease very early. So you have children who are born with diabetes. We have even babies who have diabetes. There are also kids who are picking it up, especially for those who have the familiar disease, who are not eating very well. A lot of our children, if you attend these private schools, a lot of them, you hardly find it in the village schools. But this private school, you have a lot of the children who are eating wrongly, and they build it. They will grow with it. If you send them to Papaya and Co, I'm not trying to destroy any. Papaya is just an example. We all know the fast. Let me use the fast food joint. Yes, yeah. You would destroy it. I want to take this opportunity also to caution people about the BMI. Now, the BMI and then the metabolic age. Your metabolic age may be lower. Like he said, it's based on your height and then the body fat. If you're still not exercising, it can still affect your heart. Okay. And I see a lot of young people, they don't exercise the whole year, and then when there's a fun game, they decide to go and play ball, go and run. You can kill yourself instantly. You need to train your heart, and that is why we're advocating that you should try and walk. For those who go to gym and think they are exercising, you are not exercising if you are not moving. Aerobics is actually better than going to lift weight. Oh. So you see someone who is macho man, you think is strong. It's actually a very weak person if he or she does not engage in any running exercise. If you can't run on the road at all, at least use the treadmill.
Okay.
You must, because the heart is a machine. It is a machine which is supposed to work till you die. And you can only train it. I have conducted examination within footballers, okay? And some of them, in fact, majority of them, their heart rate is below 60.
What does that mean?
What it means is that the heart is in good use to the extent that it has slowed down a bit, okay? It has slowed to their benefit because they've put their heart, for hypertensives, you realize that their pulse rate, their heart rate is very high because it always have to like overwork, okay? But for the sportsmen, their hearts do not necessarily have to overwork because it's something that the heart is already used to. So you can also use your heart rate to actually determine how you are doing in terms of your physical activity. If you started with a pulse rate of say 90 for this year, you should be aiming at 70. By the end of the year, you should be running always like checking to know your heart rate, how many times your heart beats a minute. Okay. I'm not saying all this thing is 100%. There are people who would escape, as we have seen even within footballers who have died on the pitch. Yeah. And for those of us who are professionals, please, this is the last one I'm giving to the whole nation. Okay, sure. Look, our leave is very, very important. And when they give you leave, go and rest. Don't joke with your leave. Okay. If anybody refuses you leave, if you have the capabilities, you should report the person to the Labor Commission. We are not resting. You can do all these things that we are talking about. You can do all these things. And we have a very good example of one chief executive in India who even used to go for marathon, has very good figures when it comes to cholesterol and everything. He died of heart attack. Ooh. Yes, because he was not resting.
Okay, so, we have to wrap up on this. I think that we've had a very lengthy, important conversation. But what if your metabolic age is the same as your real age? What does that mean?
Well, that means that at least your level of activity coincides is as expected for your age. But if it is lower, it means that your level of activity is such that it can be compared to a very young person. Okay, so that's better. Yeah, so like he did a study, like he was telling me, he found that majority among footballers, majority of them were 18 years. 18 years.
Oh, so no wonder sometimes even when they are 35, they say they are like 25.
Exactly. So I was just thinking maybe that's where the
football age is coming from. So the football age could actually be metabolic age.
Yes, even though they don't determine that, but this is a coincidence. Yes. So it's just like if if you are 20 and your metabolic age is 30, how I put it is that you are carrying an engine of someone who is 30 years old. So so that people will appreciate it. Yes, it is that important.
Change oil.
Yes, I have to talk about, I mean, our diet. It is important.
Yeah.
It's important we eat 3 times a day. It is important we reduce our salt intake. Make sure you add some vegetables and fruits into your diet. Incorporate, find a way, not just the cabbages and all that. Even our local vegetables, you know, the ones that we use, boko boko, ayuyu, those ones. Make sure that we add them to our food, our soups, and let's cut down our oil intake and even salt. We take too much salt.
Yeah.
According to WHO, we take averagely 9 to 12 grams of salt when we need just 5 grams a day. And they say that when we reduce our salt intake to the recommendation, we will be saving about 1.7 million lives every year.
Wow.
So, yes, so salt intake is very important. And then eating at the right times. Make sure that you eat between 6 and 8. You have your breakfast. It is important. Yes. And then 12 to 1:30, latest 2 o'clock, you have your lunch. And make sure between 5 and 6, you have your supper. The issue is have your supper or your last meal 3 hours before you go to bed. If you don't exercise at all, you will do some talking, you will do some, throw-ups of your limbs. That helps burn down some of the calories. Don't just eat and go to bed.
All right.
That is important. And let's take a lot of water and cut down the sugary foods and drinks. It's very important.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your time.
But we also want to congratulate you. Well done.
Yes, well done. Yes. I'm really impressed. Within this short time,
Yay!
you can do better.
Yeah, but I have to work on it because who knows? The next minute, these figures could change.
Exactly.
Yeah, but thank you so much. And let's do this often so that we can keep, reminding ourselves. I am super grateful. You're still watching the AM show. Stay with us. We've got a lot more coming your way.